Hi guys, it's Tony Robbins. You're listening to Habits and Hustle. Crush it.
Today on Habits and Hustle, we have the one and only Bobbi Brown. Bobbi is a beauty industry titan and probably one of the most well-known makeup artists of our time. She has written also 9 books about beauty and wellness and is a New York Times bestselling author. She is a public speaker, an entrepreneur, and now even a podcaster. Since leaving her billion-dollar company, Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, in 2016, she launched a new company called Beauty Evolution and has now 3 new brands. Her newest endeavor is called Evolution 18, which is a line of beauty-inspired wellness products. Bobbi is just a great character. I love talking to her. She's so inspiring, so down to earth, so authentic and real. I really enjoyed this conversation. So without further ado, here she is, Bobbi Brown.
You know what I love about you're so natural and down to earth. Like, this is not very usual for a lot of people in your space, I find.
Why?
Well, because look at you. You're just you remind me a lot of people who I grew up around, I guess. And I don't know, you just seem so
normal.
Normal, right?
Yeah. People have been saying that to me for about 30 years. You're so normal. I'm like, what does that mean?
I know, it's really a bizarre thing. And I think that it's just because the ideology of a beauty expert, someone who's been in the beauty industry for so many years, you
should look better.
No. You have an idea that they would be very glammed up, and you're just like the girl next door.
I got a blowout yesterday.
Well, it's working. Right. Listen, I like it though.
Okay.
I think the natural look is amazing, and you kind of created this whole natural vibe.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, I've always believed that you should just feel good, be comfortable, and, be able to do anything you want with your looks and your style. And I'm pretty good with if I had to go out to a black tie, I could literally be out the door in 15 minutes, not even knowing what I have in the house. You throw earrings on, you put, something with sparkle on, and you're dressed up.
And you're good to go. Well, I know I have the same kind of methodology because, like I was saying, I don't even know how to put on makeup, no matter how many times people tell me. But I will say you're very good at giving easy tips for people in my world, right? Who don't necessarily gravitate to that space, but need to know how to do the basics, right?
Well, I think when I started in my career as a makeup artist, it made such sense to me. Yes, this is how you do it. If you want to get a blush, have it the color of your cheeks, and then make sure you blow on it so it doesn't fall all over, the floor, so it doesn't streak on your face. Smile, blend it up, blend it down, use your hands, and then you're done. That's how I taught people to put makeup on, was the way I put it on myself.
Right. But it's common sense isn't so common sometimes, right?
Yeah, I have common sense way more than I have book smarts.
Well, it's worked for you. So I'm curious. So I love the story. When I was doing a lot of research on you before, by the way, I find the irony is that you have 3 boys. I find that to be hilarious.
It's a blessing, but I've got 2 future daughter-in-laws. So I'm equally blessed.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. That you your whole thing was you never really loved school, right? And so your mom said to you one day, why don't you go into the beauty world or the makeup space? And can you kind of talk about how that kind of happened and how that, I'm curious how the evolution of what was Bobbi Brown.
Right. Well, she didn't say go into the beauty world, but she did say if it was your birthday, you could do anything you want. And I never, ever thought for a second that I wanted to go into beauty or makeup, but I said, I want to go to the department store and just play with makeup at Marshall Fields, the department store where I grew up in Chicago. And she said, well, why don't you be a makeup artist? And I said, Mom, I don't want to go to beauty school. I had this vision of me sitting, behind a chair. And I'm like, I'm not that person. And she goes, no, I'm sure there's a college somewhere. And, there was no internet. I couldn't Google. So I went to the library, couldn't find anything. And a friend of my dad's told me about Emerson College in Boston. And I flew up and I got in, literally I handed them the paperwork and I got in, I went there. And they didn't have a program that allowed you to study makeup, but they let you design your own major. And by doing that, that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial brain. And actually someone giving me permission to be myself and like use my brain the way it was comfortable, not the way teachers were trying to make my brain work.
Right. That makes sense. So then you but then did you always love makeup as a little girl? Did you look through magazines all the time? Like did you practice on dolls? Like what was your,
all of the above, my mom is 20 years older than me. So she was a young mom and so glamorous and gorgeous. Nice to watch her do all this makeup in awe. And I could never look like her. I didn't have what she had, but I would put it all on me and, rub it in, and it made me feel better. And so I loved it. And yes, I played with my dolls with makeup. I made up my dog. And then I just started wearing it in high school because I wanted people to see how tan I was. Like it was a big, everyone goes to Florida on spring break, and I figured out how to do it with makeup, and hence, I am the queen of teaching people how to look bronze. So
I know
fell in love.
True. That's what I love about you, because that is 100% true. That is
because we look better. We look better. I look
Absolutely.
so much better. I wear sunscreen. I look so much better when I have a little color, and I
true.
feel better. So, I know skin cancer is really on the rise, and, people have to be really careful, but a little bit I think is good for you.
Right. Well, also they do say like having about 15 minutes of vitamin D, like outdoors, is actually
Right.
very, very good for your hormone balance and
Yes.
all these other things. But also, you can use your makeup lines,
Right.
the new one, the old one, whatever, to
The
kind
old
of get
one, who
that
cares?
look.
But the new one,
I was
yes.
going to say,
Yeah.
I was going to say, whatever.
Yeah.
You haven't been involved since 2016.
Right.
What I find so interesting is that through your path, you actually sold Bobbi Brown to Estee Lauder like only 4 years or so into, creating it.
Right. And, back then there wasn't a lot of brands. There were not, I didn't know what a brand was. We never used that word. I remember when they brought in a branding company, and I was like, what is a branding company? And finally, after listening to them for, 6 weeks, I'm like, I don't need to listen to you. We already are who we are. Like, we don't need to change into what you think we should be. So, back then I was just doing my job. I was still a makeup artist. I was creating products. I was telling people about the products. Now I know that's PR and marketing. And, I would give them to my friends, and my friends would love them. And they happen to be models or editors. Now they're called influencers, but those were just my friends. And, I kind of did exactly what you have to do now, but I just did it in a very simple, common sense way.
Would you say it's well, I'm gonna get into that part after, actually. So I'm gonna try to stay kind of chronological, but what would you say was your big break? Was it when you met the person to let you into Bergdorf, or was it when you got that big spread in a magazine with the models? Like, what was that big moment? Because at the time, blue eyeshadow was huge, and like pink, rouge was big, and you kind of changed that look into something much more natural. How did you
Yeah, there was so many big moments, as a young makeup artist, getting hired at Glamour magazine for my first makeup job was a big deal. Certainly when I got hired from Vogue to do a 6-page spread of close-up beauty, like in those days, it was 6 pages, one model, 6 different makeup looks. I mean, honestly, the model was Tatiana. It was the most beautiful images. They're still my favorite. That was a big break. When I, started working with Bruce Weber, that was a big break. When he did a film about
those?
A combination of, I always worked hard to meet people. Now it's called networking. I always, I think I worked with people and I was nice and normal, and people would recommend me to other people. Was I the most talented makeup artist? Absolutely not. Did I have my own thing and style? Yes. And I think people started liking that new thing. It wasn't, I didn't come in with, rooms full of assistants and ponder and, become this like big diva. Yeah. I kind of said, okay, what are we looking for today? What do you think? What's the lighting? And I sat down and I, put a few things on the face and What do you think of it? Do you like it? And I started having a career.
Well, there's a couple of things that you said I think are interesting. I think the first thing is that you were kind of like a normal person, kind of what I said to you when we started, right? Like you come across very like normal, down to earth, like someone that you and we could be friends. Like you don't have this diva-like attitude. And I think that kind of, played to your favor, it sounds like. How much do you think about all of this is intelligence and talent versus networking and being kind of like very good at navigating those social relationships?
Well, I don't think one is more important than the other. I mean, my talent definitely came later. When I first started, I had no clue what I was doing. And I remember trying to do makeup the way other makeup artists were doing it at the time. And I was terrible at it. I couldn't make them look good. It didn't work. Only when I finally washed someone's face and started over and just looked at this natural, beautiful face and just kind of throwing some things on so they looked like they could, go to a party next door or something. That's when I started realizing, oh my God, they look so much better. And other people started agreeing with me. And, during those days, it wasn't that easy because there'd be people that would say to me, you're never going to work if you don't learn how to contour. And if you don't learn how to paint and you don't learn. And I even had people that say to me, if you don't do something with your hair, you just don't have a style. And if you don't, have the right clothes, you don't have a style. Finally, after all these years, my style is in messy hair, jeans and a t-shirt and sneakers. I'm like, yay, I'm in style.
You are actually. I mean, so then, I mean, also, I think the story, will you tell the story? Because I thought this was very cute. About NBC and who you met, the Jeff Zucker story. Yeah. I thought that was very cute.
Yeah, I've had all these really, bizarre, interesting encounters. I don't look for them, but I'm smart enough to kind of understand what's happening. I'm very, I don't know if the word is emotionally intelligent. Like I know what's happening. I'm like, okay, this is really cool and interesting. So I was on a book tour for my very first beauty book. And I remember I was at Neiman Marcus in Circle. And no one was paying attention to me. Like they're eating and the forks are going, I felt like one of those comedians and, they were going to start throwing bread at me, but, maybe they were listening to me. And at the end I said, are there any questions? And this very teeny redheaded grandmother raised her hand and I walked all the way to the back of the room. And I mean, I'm 5 foot tall. She was littler than I am.
You're 5 feet?
I'm 5 feet. And I love old people. I always have. And I don't know if I held her hand, but she asked me a question, how to keep her lipstick on. And I answered it. And then she whispered to me, are you Jewish? And I said, I am. And she says, look, I'm in Neiman Marcus in Miami. Everyone probably was Jewish there. But she said to me, she goes, oh my God, for a Jewish girl, you've done so well. She said, I've seen you on the Today Show. I had been on once. And you've done so well. What else do you want to do? And I said, I'd love to be a regular on the Today Show. How that popped up into my head. She grabbed my hand back and she said, honey, Jeff Zucker, the executive producer, is my grandson. I will call him and you'll be on the show on Monday. And I was.
I love that. And you were on over and over and over again for how many years were you like the beauty expert?
I was actually 14 years. So Jeff came down. We're friends and we've been friends ever since. But he came down and he said to me, he used to call me Barbara. And he'd say, Barbara, my grandma, I forgot her name right now, but grandma wanted you on the show. And I said, great. And he says, what do you want? I said, can I be a regular? He said, yeah, like how regular? I said, once a month. He said, great. And he said, I'll see you next month. So he comes down a month later when I'm there. He says, and Jeff never came down for anyone, but it was his grandma. Yeah. So he came down and he said, Barbara, you're here again. Now what do you want? I said, can I be the beauty editor? Because they had, the fitness editor, they had all these different things because we've never had a beauty editor. He said, okay, why not? You're the beauty editor. He never came down the third time, so I never got a salary. I never asked him for money. But I was on for 14 years, once a month as a beauty editor, and I got to get up there and have 5 minutes of national exposure. Yeah. I did not push my products. I taught people how to line their eyes, how to pick the right foundation, I brought teachers in to make over. So, giving back and all those things. And you know what? It really, I believe, put Bobbi Brown Cosmetics on the map.
Oh, absolutely. That's why those type of things you don't get paid for. That's just simply like, that's amazing PR, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, anytime I've been on the Today Show a lot years ago, and it was like a huge honor. Like I would never think I would pay them if I can go on there, right?
Yes,
like,
I think now you do pay them.
I was going to say now there's so many different. I mean, it's all pay to play, and there's a lot of like integration cost, and you can't even. I mean, at the time, were you even allowed to plug your own product? Like now you're not allowed to do those things unless you're paying for it, right?
No one ever said to me, don't do it, but I didn't because number one, I also was sensitive to the fact that my products were expensive.
Yeah.
And people watching the Today Show don't all have that kind of budget.
Right.
And I was also very lucky. This was not a brilliant idea, but it worked out really well that my products were named what the colors were. So when I'd say you need a taupe eyeshadow to, guess what? We would sell a zillion taupes.
Oh my, that's like that. You can't even buy that kind of exposure.
No. And it was just, I lucked into it. That's all.
It's amazing. But it's also like, because you're the emotional intelligence piece. Like I'm a big believer that that's way more important than having academics. Like that's, so I feel like that does make a massive difference because then you know how to like navigate situations.
Right. And, it's not about being, I don't know what's the negative word when people are trying so hard to get ahead. There's like a negative word. Or aggressive. It's none of those things. It's just honestly, I see opportunity. Other people, but I'm not opportunistic.
No, I know.
I'm not opportunistic, but I see opportunity, and I'm like, wow, that would be interesting. Why don't I, see if anyone's interested in that? I mean, I once called up, Elvis Duran, and I said, because I'd been on the show a few times, I said, the Today Show ended, and I was like, all right, I want to do something else. Can I be a regular? And he has more viewers than the Today Show has, listeners. My friend, and he said, sure. You want to be the beauty and lifestyle editor? Sure. I said, excellent. And I go on his show and I give tips and ideas.
So I think also it's about asking, right? Nobody thinks that like they don't want to ask because they feel they're scared of the rejection. They feel they're being pushy or opportunistic, but the reality is like, you don't know unless you ask. Right. And it seems to have worked very well for you in your career, right?
But I also know that I've been really lucky, and I've been in, certain situations because of being a makeup artist, being with the brand. I've met certain people. I've done so many people's makeup, and I know it's all part of it is I am in the right place, and I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, going back to that time, like I don't remember any other name besides you, because I was very, very young, but I remember like Bobbi Brown. That's the only name I ever really heard,
as a makeup artist or a brand?
As a both, like I just remember like as an artist, as a makeup artist and a brand, like you're synonymous with the word makeup or beauty. Now, I mean, there's a bazillion different brands and people, and it's like Instagram and social media. The business has changed so much, but back then, I mean, and then so when Estee Lauder bought your brand, do you ever regret selling it so soon, or were you really happy about it?
No, I never regretted it for a minute. First of all, it's when Leonard Lauder was the head of the company, and he just, was the most like engaging, empowering partner that you could imagine. And my husband and I started the brand together. We had these business partners who were our friends, and we did not have an easy time in business. So it was a pretty intense partnership. We have, rekindled with them, sort of. But back then it was tough. So when Lauder came in, it was just, I realized, you know what? I want this business to grow. I do not want to give away my life. I had 2 young kids, and I have 3 now, but I had 2 young kids, and I knew I didn't want to spend my entire career in a boardroom or an airplane. Right. And I knew that, Lauder would help I didn't know how big, but I knew they would help the brand get big.
And you stayed with them until 2016.
That's 22 years.
I know.
If you could imagine 22 years. First of all, anyone that works in corporate America for 22 years, knows that it's not the easiest place.
Oh, it's brutal. I read that and I saw that and I heard you say that a few times. And I was like, that's amazing. Because normally people last usually in this type of transition, a year, 2 years, maybe.
Oh yeah. I saw people coming and going, and frustrated. And I think why I stayed is I believed, and I did up until the very end, that, people are true to their word. When I said, this is what I want to do, and people said, yes, let's do it. I believed them. And I did have the right people around me for most of the time to get these things. And trust me, things weren't easy. Everything was always, to figure out how you get it done. And you get it done. And towards the end, I couldn't actually get those things done. And I realized I'm never going to.
Right. And that's
so I left.
Yeah. So what was your role while you were there? Were you head of creative? What does that mean?
Well, my husband used to say, you think you still own that company. And I did. I actually, did. And they, it was allowed because the brand was doing so well, and, they believed in me for most of the time. And then when things got a little tougher, it was harder, but I was the chief creative officer, which really is, the things that are important to me,
right.
But I was involved in, distribution, at least a buy-in. Do you want to do this? Do you not want to do this? What do you think of this? And most of the time it worked great. And I was able to do what I was really good at, which was all the visuals, all the product development, like the names, everything.
Like all the because you started with like 10 lipsticks at the beginning,
right.
and and it's morphed into like a whole thing.
Yeah. When I left, it was $1 billion. It was huge. And honestly, if someone called me tomorrow and said, here, it's yours again, I still would. I love what I'm doing. I cannot tell you how lucky I feel and how much I love being back in the beauty industry and health and wellness.
Yeah.
In a new way. It's a completely new world, and it's so much lighter and brighter and more fun. And what I know from, the olden days, what I know now, you put it together, I'm like, wow, that's cool.
So that's a good segue, because I was going to say, like, your new beauty, your makeup brand's called Jone's Road. I'm wearing the lip gloss actually right now. Actually, cool.
You can put it on your cheek also.
No, I didn't.
If you want a little shine, don't put on your eyes because it's got peppermint oil in it, and that would burn. But you could put it on your cheeks.
Okay. What I also saw that you guys have a face pencil, and I was thinking that could be like a foundation, but not really, right?
It is. I don't like foundation. I don't think people look good in foundation. Yeah. Most foundation on the market is just thick and pasty, and it's hard to get looking good. But
yes.
what? We have spots. We have redness. So yes, I have. I have pencils, and I have 4 of them. You don't need 4. You only really need 2, 1 under the eyes, 1 around the nose. And then to even out, I use 2 under my eyes, and I use 2 on my face.
And how do you do a color? This is exactly my problem. Like, I'm always going too dark, too light.
There's only one way to choose a foundation or a pencil or whatever you use. You apply it to the side of your face, and you gently tap it in. If you can't see it, if it blends in, it's the right color.
That sounds simple enough.
It's so simple. If you put your foundation on and say, oh my God, it's gray, it's pasty, it's yellow, it's orange, it's the wrong color.
Well, I want to get a couple of those, because that looks like it's like idiot proof, right?
It is. And you know what? If you buy one that you say, oh, it's a little light for my skin, it'll work under your eyes. You can also use it like around your nose. You could use it. You literally could like blot out your lip with it. You could use it on your eyelid. It's a good base. Like all of the products in Jone's Road, you could use for different things, because that's modern. That's normal.
Yeah. So, it's like multi-purpose a lot.
It is.
And so, like, is that how you guys are different? Is that how it's different than Bobbi Brown?
No, there's so many ways it's different. First of all, it's clean. It's a totally clean brand. And it's also, really my aesthetic, which is no makeup. I mean, when at the brand, it really wasn't no makeup because we were selling makeup. So it just, things changed. And so I could now really, when I left and didn't know what I was going to do, and went back in the studio being a makeup artist, I realized, number one, how much better I looked without, my artists doing my makeup and me just putting I looked younger and I looked fresher and I liked it. And then I would do makeup and I would be like, wow, the girls look so amazing. They're not wearing foundation. They're just kind of evening out where they need it. Because how many models need foundation? You don't.
No, I agree. And that's exactly the truth. I think that when people plow on that foundation, it makes them look older.
It does.
It's like less is actually more, because even when I try to put this down, or I do like whenever I have to wear makeup and people put the foundation on me, it cakes all the time. It does. It doesn't sit well a lot of times on someone's skin.
Right. And you have, like a healthy skin, and you have a lot of red in your skin. I could even see it from here. So when you put foundation on, you know what happens? It just becomes a mask on you.
Yes.
So that's not going to work. You need something that will just even out a bit, but leave the color of the skin. That's the color of your skin. You shouldn't correct it. You should just tone it down a bit. And that's the difference. And I don't think people realize that. You put a foundation on and you're like, oh God, hurry up, put blush on, hurry up, put bronzer on. It's now. You should look so much better when you put the pencils on, or if you're going to wear a tinted moisturizer or whatever you find. Yeah. You got to put it on instantly and say, oh my God, my skin looks amazing.
I totally agree. Do you guys have a tinted moisturizer?
We do not. We have something we're working on for next January that has been, I think it's going to be a game changer. I think I want to call it an unfoundation. I don't know if I can get away with that. But the pencils are really all you need. The pencils and the balm. The balm.
Which balm is that? Hold on.
I have tawny here, and I'm like the shoemaker without any shoes, honestly. I've got tawny and I've got dusty rose here, the little mini ones. And I use them both. And I also use the one that has no color if I don't have moisturizer, which I don't have moisturizer with me.
Oh my gosh. Well, then that's actually, what are three, because I have this written down. I might as well just ask you now, since we're talking about makeup. What do you think are the three must-haves in beauty products for people who are not, people who do this all the time?
Well, first of all, I don't want to, there's going to be four things. Because one thing is you need a sunscreen. Like you need, I don't make a sunscreen, and since it's a clean brand, I probably won't. I use a lot of Supergoop. But, and I'm trying to figure out which Supergoop texture works best with the balms, because that's really important. But I think everyone needs a mascara. You got to have a black mascara and nothing else. You need, I think, a brown eyeshadow, because with a brown eyeshadow, you can lightly fill in your brows, unless you're very, very blonde. You can do a very soft, smoky eye if you want. You could line your eyes. You can also, which before we started, I put it in my part because I'm between touch-ups. So, that works really well. And in a pinch, and this is
a great idea.
Yeah. A makeup artist trick, and I also put it around my hairline because I start to look like Mitt Romney. If I'm really, I look very distinguished. Not, he looks good, but a woman doesn't look that good, when the white comes around, because my hair is 100% white.
No.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You would never know it.
Yeah. And I don't even want to see what I would look like. Everyone's like, come on, you'll look great. I'm like, I don't want to. Thanks.
Yeah. No, this makes you look like, I know you say you're
64 next week.
64. It would never, I kid you not, and I'm not saying that to be polite. You can pass for 20 years younger easily.
Yeah, I probably look like I'm about to turn 50, 48, something like that. I think. And you could definitely, okay, first of all, hold on. So you said the brown eye pencil, and you can use it even in your hair. A brown eye pencil or shadow. I mean, look, you're only telling people that they get three things. So they need brown, either eye pencil or a shadow. Okay, that you could do the same things with either way. You need a black mascara. And then you know what? You need color. So I would, since there's only one more product, and now you're going to ask me if I'm going to give you something for under your eyes, or I'm going to give you something to give you color. So it's going to be a tough one. I would say if I had to choose one, I would choose the color on the face, because then you won't notice as much, how dark you are under the eyes.
Those are good
But
ones.
you kind of need four things.
So the thing under your eyes, and also some blush or balm or
Yes.
under your
And look, everyone's different. You have so much red in your skin, you probably don't need blush. I am very, one color, and I need blush. And I've lost, a little bit of weight this year, and my face is so thin. I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny because when you're younger, right, people always want to be thinner, but as you get older, you look gaunt if you're too thin.
Right.
It's like a whole thing.
I'm worried I'm on the verge, and the trick is my stomach doesn't look too thin.
I mean,
my face does. So
Well, I mean, that's actually another great segue, because now you also started another company. So you have Jones Road, you have now Evolution 18, which is more of a supplement company.
It's a supplement. It's a wellness ingestible company, which means you eat the things, you drink or eat them.
The debloat, I've tried those, the debloating ones, and some vanilla powder, the collagen powder. Was that
we have a plain collagen powder, and then we have something called relaxing vanilla, which has collagen in it, which literally turns off my brain because it has magnesium in it, takes away my sweet tooth. I don't know why, but it does. So when I come home from dinner, I make one of those, because for 60 calories, I won't go dipping in, whatever's sitting in my cabinet.
Really?
Yeah, because I never order dessert in restaurants because it makes me feel awful.
Yeah.
And no one has berries except in the summertime. So, so that's my favorite. And then we have a CBD gummy I love. And we have an apple cider vinegar gummy I love.
I have that. I like that one. So then what made you, so now you leave 2016, what made you start not one, but two different brands? And also Just Bobbi too, right? You also have that.
Yeah.
Which is a platform.
Yes. Just Bobbi is our, our editorial platform. And that's just allows me to just fuel my curiosity and hire writers and, and just kind of bring stories, how-tos together. I was also used to be an editor-in-chief at Yahoo Beauty, so I kind of missed all that stuff. So I opened up Just Bobbi, and I couldn't start a makeup brand because I had a non-compete. So when I left Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, I had my 9th book to promote, which is called Beauty from the Inside Out. Yeah. Because I was getting even more passionate about health and wellness than I was about makeup. And I wrote this book. It's 90% what goes into your body. And there's, it's 10% makeup in the book, and in life too, by the way. Yeah. So I had a new platform, and I met someone who said, he manufactures the biggest supplements in the country. Would you want to partner and create a brand together? And I said yes. So I did.
Is this the QVC thing I thought QVC also?
Well, yeah. Well, at the same time, QVC called me and said, I heard you left, the brand. What do you want to sell? Do you want to do shoes? Do you want to do, what? And I was like, I don't really want to get into the clothing business or anything else. And I'm really interested in supplements. And they're like, yes. They said, go meet this guy. And it was the same guy I was already talking to. So
really?
Yeah. So, so we started this company, and I didn't know I was going to launch a makeup company. It wasn't even on my brain at the time. I just started doing a lot more makeup, realizing how much I love being a makeup artist. That's my favorite thing in the world. And I was invited to go to India to speak at the first ever Indian makeup show, which I did and loved. And then I got a call from Masterclass to create a makeup masterclass. So here I was back doing what I love and knowing my non-compete was going to be up. And I'm like, maybe I should come out with one thing. Maybe I'll just come out with a brown shadow. My mind's always thinking. And I knew it had to be clean. And so I just started looking around at labs, and I started doing this because I didn't have a team. And it was, really cool and interesting. And then I got a team and launched a brand the day my non-compete was up.
And what day was that? When was that?
October 23rd, 2020.
Oh my gosh. Literally last year.
Yes. Last October. And let me remind you, it was a week before the presidential election, in the middle of this pandemic and the middle of all this social unrest. And everyone kept saying, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like, I don't care. There's never going to be a good time. I could do it today and I'm going to do it. And I did it. And it was great.
And you know what else I was going to actually say, because now everybody's stuck on Zoom, they're staring at themselves all the time. Right. Hasn't the beauty industry kind of skyrocketed? Like people are selling astronomical, numbers now than they ever have. But
in different ways. Like people aren't going into department stores to have a makeup artist do a full thing. No, they're looking for things that are going to make them feel better quickly. They're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on, Clubhouse, they're on whatever those new things are.
Right.
And, that's where they're on Facebook, women of a certain age are on Facebook, everyone's on all different. And Instagram lives, they don't cost anything. You just press a button, you're talking to 200, 500 people.
I know you could, you would sell 200 or 500 lipsticks or brown eyeshadows instantaneously, because people just you don't need to go to a store. You can do it online now.
And, we see a direct bump when I do those things. Plus I've been able, I launched with a story on the Today Show, which I shot just like this on Zoom. Right. I launched with the Wall Street Journal, a big article, which I, did on the phone. They did send a photographer in a mask to take my picture. And then I went on Elvis Duran, and then everything was quiet for a week because, we got a new president.
Right.
And it allowed us to catch our breath. And then 3 weeks later, we ran out of our Tawny Miracle Balm. It was such a giant, explosion of excitement.
Wow. Is that your biggest seller right now?
Our balms are definitely our balms, our mascara, our pencils, the balms are definitely the first, the hottest.
Oh, and so then the makeup came first, and then you did the Evolution 18.
No. Evolution 18 was 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. That was 2 years. Right. Okay. So then,
and don't forget about my hotel.
I was going to say, and then I saw that you have a hotel as well, which is kind of, why?
Okay. So I left the brand. I had a book. I went on book tour. I would start meeting, meeting and ideating the wellness products, starting to put together a little team. And my husband is a developer and had a building. And when I left the brand, he said, "Do you want to make a hotel?" He usually turns these buildings into residential. And I'm like, okay. And so, my team and his team, not knowing what we were doing, just jumped into this project and launched it. And, it's been a ride. Let me just tell you, it's been a ride, and it's been amazing. It's been fun. I love it. I love everything about it. And, it's doing really well even during this past year. So it's called The George, and the George Montclair, the George Inn Montclair. It used to be called the Georgian Inn.
Yeah,
so we made it hip and cool, calling it The George. So I did that, and then I'm not I don't get overwhelmed. No, that's a lie. I get overwhelmed all the time. I'm not afraid to be overwhelmed.
It's a lot of stuff though. That's like 4 million. That's like 5 projects from Bobbi Brown. You have the makeup, the Evolution, the hotel. Right. How do you divide your time?
Well, I don't plan on dividing it. I just do what needs to be done. And I've always kind of had people around me that are there's probably a better name, but they're like dream catchers that think my ideas are interesting and think they'd be really cool and fun, and they help me figure out how to get it done. So probably the biggest one is she was my executive assistant at Bobbi, Her name is Tara, and she came from being a producer in California. She produced Snoop Dogg. Okay, so I hired
Snoop Dogg?
Yeah. So I hired her to be my executive assistant, and then I needed her to leave and run Yahoo, which she did. I needed her to work on my glasses, which she did. And, she helped build a team. She's in some ways so much like me, like not afraid of what you don't know, but excited about what could be. Right. So, gathering the team and telling the team and dealing with my what happened to that? How come that didn't happen? What happened to that? Okay, it's all cool. It's all fine. It's getting done. Don't worry. I need those people in my life. Because of course I'm not always so chill. Right. I'm like, what happened to that? Where did that go? Blah.
I mean, it sounds like, and it's so true. I feel like having good people that you work with and you can count on, that you can delegate to, does make a major difference in someone's success, though, right? It's so hard to find that, though.
It is not easy to find. And, when you do, it makes a difference. But even my assistant now, Jessie, who's literally, I got through someone else that works for me, their dentist. Okay. Seriously. And honestly, there's nothing that stresses her out. She handles everything around me. And, she doesn't want to be an executive assistant forever. She's more chief of staff, but she eventually wants to run a company. And so by working with me and handling all those things, it's going to teach her, all the different things that are happening.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like you've been fortunate where you have good people, or you find good people.
Yes. And I've had to get rid of a lot of people that weren't good.
Yeah. Well, yes,
it's,
exactly.
It's not easy. It's emotional, but sometimes you just have to cut your losses. And it's not just that they're not good at their job. It's not the right fit for them either.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. What would you say would be a couple of things that you've learned over this past, 20 years with, in the corporate world, being an entrepreneur on your own, that you can kind of give people some advice? Like one or two pieces of advice you would give someone trying to start their own business, if it's beauty or otherwise,
probably the most important thing that I've learned, and I realized from, the olden days to the new days is you have to breathe. You have to breathe. You have to process things, and you have to not be in such a rush, because things take time. And you also have to be able to separate yourself from what you're doing and creating, because sometimes you just need a break, and you just need to look at it and maybe get a clear thought. It's like things that used to happen used to freak me out. Oh my God, we're not going to make the ship. What's going to happen? The artist and this and that. And now when someone calls me and says, things are stuck in so-and-so, we're not going to be able to launch tomorrow. One color didn't make it. I'm like, and they're all freaked out. I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's really not a big deal. Let's shift and figure out now, what are we going to do instead? Yeah. And I like people that come to me with solutions. Don't just come to me with the problems. I want the solutions too.
Right. That's a great point, I think, too, right? Because you don't want to just hear the problem. Yeah. And I found I think I had mentioned this at the beginning also, you seem to be you sold Bobbi Brown at a very, when it was very young, because you had a young family, and family seemed to be very important to you. How are you able, and I'm asking this for myself too, how are you able to balance being so busy running a business and taking on all those hats, and also being a good mom at the same time? Because I can tell you obviously are. So don't you ever feel overwhelmed or anxious from just trying to do that? I mean, the kids are older now, I understand, but how did you find that balance?
Well, first of all, there was no balance. There never was going to be a balance. And there was a lot of it that was a big stressful mess. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I'm late. Oh my God, I have to go to the UK. Oh my God, the kids have chicken pox and high fevers. What am I going to do? And honestly, the only way that I was able to get myself to function in some of those times was because I married this amazing man that was able to say, okay, breathe. Okay, let's discuss it. The kids are going to be fine, but why don't you take a later flight? And he'd come to me and say, why don't you take a later flight? And you can literally get off the plane and go right to the TV show and, make sure the kids are fine. And so I did things like that. And I slept on the plane, and I don't know how I got through the next day, probably with a lot of tea in the UK, but you did it. And so, it's easy now to say, oh, you just make boundaries and no, it was a mess. It was hard. And I don't regret any of it, because I was at every single school performance except one. And guess what? My kids, I love them. They're brilliant. They have no singing or dancing ability, but I was at every single one of them, as a supportive mom.
That to me is even amazing, because I like, to your point, it really bothers me when people who are very successful like you, who basically are like who are titans in their genre, in their industry, and they come on or they say, oh no, it's about the boundaries or this or that. Like, it's not easy. It is a hot mess. And so when someone's being honest and real, it's very appreciative. And so it was messy, basically, is what you're saying.
It was. And honestly, in the beginning of the career, when people would ask me this, I'd be like, oh yeah, and I did things. I always tried to, I bought kids birthday presents in bulk. I did all sorts of things to make things easier. But I would say, oh no, you just do this and this and this. And then one day I heard someone say it was a mess, and that gave me permission. Wow, you're right. It was a big hot mess, and it's okay. And so, that was just my permission to say, you know what, I better tell the truth to these people, because I did a lot of things that made things easier. Like, I figured out how to make dinner for the family literally with leftovers in 5 minutes. I could, do a cooking show, literally not from cooking, but how to buy healthy things and put them together and make a dinner. But, somehow here I am, and the kids are all fine, and I'm close to them, and they're amazing humans, and I'm really proud.
Are any of them in the beauty world or fashion world or that type of space, or no? They're like,
no, they're three boys. No. They're not. They're neither of those things. They're definitely entrepreneurs, and they all, have done what's passionate about them. I actually have one of them working on Jones Road, because he's this brilliant, my second son, he's this brilliant marketing, he just got like this very cool title, and he would kill me that I don't remember it, but he does all of our ad sales. He does our emails, our website, and it's really cool. And then my youngest son, who's is super creative, is also now redoing one of our websites on a photo studio. And, so they're all doing what they love.
And what's the other one doing?
My oldest one, who is incredibly brilliant, has built he doesn't do this for a living, but he's built most of the websites. And he's, he went to Stanford, and he kind of taught himself coding, and he's just super smart. He works for a company out of the UK, but they're all, board members. They're all, part of the new business, and they just add such different things, to the mix, and it's pretty cool.
No, it's amazing. Is your husband still involved with the businesses now, or did he kind of like take a leave after you sold it and that was it between
my husband, when, Estee Lauder came in, didn't find a need for him to be, in the day-to-day. And he is he's got a huge business. He's a developer and a businessman, and has, sports, facilities and all this cool stuff. He's also the one that allowed me to do all the things I'm doing, because he's he's an attorney, he's a businessman. I'm a makeup artist. You know what I mean? I'm a creative person. I have the ideas, but I need the other side. So he is my co-founder of all these businesses. Yeah. And, and he's the yin to my yang, he's that's really not a great idea. I'm like, watch me.
Yeah, exactly. That's, it's important to have that person.
It is. Right? No, it is.
To have not just a sounding board, but someone who allows you to do what you need to do. Like it is like the yin to the yang, right? Because I think that, again, like marrying well, when I say marrying well, I don't mean like the money part. I mean, marrying well, marrying somebody who's a great balance, or a great, like, yin to that yang,
Right.
who can allow you to do things and help you and kind of like make it easier and flow better.
Oh, it's honestly, when things are, not as smooth at home between us, we all have those moments. Everything in my life is a mess. And when things are good, everything is doable, because you know what? I also realize that my home life is way more important than my work life. And a lot of, especially female entrepreneurs forget that.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And it's hard. It's easy to forget that, right? When you're in the weeds.
Right.
When you're in the weeds. Can we just talk about your masterclass for a second?
Sure.
Because I think it's amazing. So you're the first beauty person to be doing a masterclass. How hard was that to get ready for? What was that process like?
It was intense. It was amazing, and it was intense. So it was a very quick turnaround. They wanted to get it done under a month. And thank God I had Tara and my product development, girl. I think I had 2 people. I still have 2 people. And literally we just sat down and wrote a, quote unquote syllabus of what the program was going to be. And I've never seen more production people in one place. They shot it in my hometown at our film and TV studio called 18 Label. There was hundreds and hundreds of people. I just really couldn't believe it. There was probably 100, but there was so many people, and they did such a phenomenal job. And the most amazing thing, and I had to be on, from the second I walked in to the second I left, there was nothing else going on except me being filmed. And, I'm sorry, you worry about all these things. You worry about angles and lighting, and just, it's a lot to think about, and how the makeup looks. Because when you're shooting a tutorial with makeup, you can't see what you're actually doing. So I had a, makeup artist that I brought in from the UK on on one camera. I had someone else next to me. It was intense. But what also, every time I will think about masterclass, I will think about this, that the night before I was about to shoot the masterclass, we welcomed 20 people of one family from the Bahamas that lost their house in a hurricane and had nothing, no clothes, no place to live. And they came to our house and literally spent, 2 weeks living with us. And then we helped them find temporary housing while they were getting back on their feet. There was a baby, there was kids, there was a grandmother, there was, Uncle Lester, there was the brothers, there was the girlfriends. It was amazing. And so I don't even know how I got through that week, because it was a lot of stuff going on.
No, that's crazy. One of my very close friends did it too. Sex with Emily, she did it too, and it was like crazy intense. I remember it was like.
But I will remember that, looking back, it's probably one of the best things besides my family that I ever did.
Really,
honestly, I am because all of a sudden you've got these people that are from a different place. They grew up completely different, and now you are in one. You are a family. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. Yeah. It was a lot of people, but it was amazing. And our dinners and our lunches and birthday parties, and now they're back in the Bahamas, and it's tough because things still are not good in the Bahamas.
That's right.
Hopefully they have electricity by now, but
How did you find them? Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah, well, we have a home in the Bahamas that's part of it's a club where you have a home. And when our house was destroyed, as were many of the houses where we were, and this was, the hurricane a couple of years ago, my husband and I were just trying to reach everyone, because, those are the people that make the vacation, the guys in the golf team, the guys, who are the chefs and the cooks and the fun time Bob and all these cool people. And we couldn't reach anyone because their phones weren't working. And finally, Stephen reached someone, and Stephen said, "How is everyone?" "Everyone's fine. Mark and his brother Izzy, their family lost their home. They don't have a thing, and we think they just got to Florida, but they have nowhere to live." My husband said, "Well, they could live with us." So, okay, great. Mark and Izzy want their whole family. We're like, okay, what was it? 4 people? Nope, there's 20. We're like, okay, bring them. And honestly, it was incredible. They came here with nothing. Zero.
Unbelievable. Well, and you're doing the masterclass of all things on top of it. When you did the masterclass, did it elevate did it sell more product for you?
I had no product to sell.
Didn't you create was Evolution 18 not available?
No, I didn't talk about Evolution 18. So the wellness brand, it was a makeup. It was all about makeup.
Right. But then you're now more visible, right? Because everybody's doing it. So now everyone's Googling you and they,
you know what? Look, everything that you do has some kind of lift,
right?
Every podcast you listen to, every panel you go on, every Wendy Williams show, so yes.
Did you do Wendy Williams?
I did for the launch of Jones Road. It was one of our biggest sales days.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. She's got a big audience.
Huge. Yeah.
Huge.
It was really good.
That's great. So can you just give us, and then we can wrap it up pretty soon. I know you got to run soon. What are your daily habits? I mean, what do you do? What's the day in the life of Bobbi Brown these days?
Well, it's funny. Every day is different, which is what I like, but I'm trying. I actually have a life coach that I hadn't seen in a year and a half. And I just called him to, come over because I wanted to talk about some of those things that I'm having trouble going back to my good habits. And it's time. So my normal thing is I wake up because I hear my husband and the 2 dogs get out of bed at like 6:00. Sometimes 5:45. And then I drink 1 to 2 glasses of water. I head downstairs, make myself an espresso, and I go sit and read my iPad, the newspaper, the Instagram, my emails. And I do that for about an hour and sometimes an hour and a half. And that's not good. I want to exercise. So I want to get up and exercise. And so I'm trying to change some of those habits, but I like to exercise first thing. I just am not the person that's going to come home at, 5:00 at night and say, yeah, let me do a yoga class. Yeah, let me do this.
Right.
So I either walk a lot, or I've just started doing weights. I stopped doing weights for a while and it ain't pretty.
Yeah, no, weights are so important. People don't realize that, especially as we get older, because it's how you build the muscle mass. And
yes.
And so then basically what made you kind of stop your normal good habit routine and kind of transition into this other thing? Was it just pandemic?
I think, the pandemic, everything was taken down a bunch of notches. I've got, we go back and forth between 2 different houses. We've traveled a bit. We drove to Florida. We flew to see my son in California. So we've done some of that stuff. And so getting on, the same routine, I'm someone that it needs to just be easy and fit in for it to really take hold. To other people, they'd say, oh my God, your habits are perfect. Right. You're doing all the right things. But to me, I know there's an hour there. I could read the paper and do it for a half hour and then spend that hour, exercising or getting ready for the day.
Right. Well, that Instagram's a time suck. I mean, if you start with that, you can be on there for hours. It's a rabbit hole. And that's why it's so it's like dangerous in the morning to do it.
No, it's true. And also I'm working hard at getting back to drinking more water. I just put a buzzer on my phone, so trying to.
Well, have you heard of this one? BLK? It's really good.
What is it?
It's water. It's black water because it has something called fulvic minerals in it, which is like a detoxifier, and it's good for your to absorb nutrients and stuff
I
like
am one of those people that literally will buy any of that stuff that someone tells me works. It's really bad.
No, because
it's delicious.
Yeah, it's like this one's flavored, so you could buy them flavored, or you could buy them plain. Yeah. But I hear what you're saying. You're saying if someone says it, you're a sucker and you'll go buy it.
I'm a sucker because I always think, wow, I would like to feel better. I would like to look better. I would like to be better. I'm like, let me try that.
Yeah. No, exactly. Well, because you said the water thing, and the reason why I even brought it up is because I also, hydration is for your skin, I know, number one, and I hate water. So I have to figure out ways to trick myself to drink water. So I have all these like kooky things that I do. And then I drink, I forced myself to have a couple of, well, this is flavored, so I drink it because it tastes good. But I know that water thing it can be tricky.
Yeah.
So you have
I put Himalayan sea salt in it because it helps with the, electrolytes.
Yeah, electrolytes.
And then there's a taste to it. There's a taste. So you're able to get it in. And what I try to do, someone gave me this tip is, if you use a straw, it goes in easier.
Yep.
But every 2 hours, I have a dinger that says drink water. Drink the whole thing. Don't sip water.
Yes.
Drink it and be done with it. And,
Absolutely
the
true.
sipping doesn't work. So,
well, it also works when you work out because you would naturally gravitate to water, which is why it's important to drink. If you do it first thing in the morning, you get a lot of hydration that way.
Yeah. And then it starts the day. So, and honestly, I have a treadmill. I have a Peloton. I have no excuse.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, listen, maybe it's good that your life coach is coming over.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's helping.
He's going to help. What do you eat? What kind of food? Give me what you eat, what you like, what time you start the day with work, or you're just constantly working, dabbling all day?
No, I mean, I constantly dabble, but I get to the office at 10 and I usually leave around 4. Lately, I've been staying till 6. I don't know why, but usually about 4. My commute's 3 minutes, so it's pretty cool. But I usually, I've tried intermittent fasting. Every time someone tells me how great it is, I'm like, all right, I have to try that again. But I just can't help it. I get hungry, my stomach growls. So I either do a protein shake and, I do my chocolate whey protein under Evolution 18. It's delicious. I do 1 scoop of that and 1 scoop of the vanilla, and it kind of tastes like a Milky Way. It's really good.
Oh, I should try that.
Yeah. And then I throw frozen kale or frozen spinach, some Zen basil seeds for fiber. And I've just started putting some more fat in my diet. Cause brain health and, it should fill me to lunch. And then, so we feed everyone in the office lunch. One of the interns every other day goes to Whole Foods and makes a spread. We've got, 4 or 5 different breads, healthy breads. We've got different vegetables. We have, turkey and tuna and chicken, and people make their own sandwiches. And by the way, it costs less than takeout.
Yeah.
And everybody, just makes their own what they're in the mood for.
And it's healthy. Can I come by for lunch one day?
And it is. And it's healthy. Yeah. So, people are doing the healthier lunch thing.
That's amazing. Wow. I'm gonna stop by for lunch next time I'm around there to have the healthy lunch with you guys.
And then dinner's a vodka.
And then deli, exactly.
Dinner's a vodka.
Yeah. So that's your drink of choice.
Yeah.
Vodka?
It's my drink of choice. Yeah. I try. I do tequila sometimes, but vodka's, and I'm trying to do more like 4 days and not 5 or 7.
Yeah. So, no, it's really hard. Like once we get off that wagon, it's very hard to get back and kind of rein it in. I actually have one more question for you. I kind of forgot about earlier, but of all the brands, I feel like we were saying even earlier, all these emerging brands, all these beauty brands, they're like tiny little, indie brands, so to speak. Do you see that there's still maybe a gap somewhere that people haven't covered yet? Or is there a brand or brands that you actually really like that you think are really good?
I wouldn't have gotten into the beauty business again if I found exactly what I liked on the market. Right. So I have a lot of friends that I support that are founders, that I have some brands that I mentor, and there's products from each of those companies I love. I don't believe that people only use one brand. I think you kind of pick and choose for different things. So, there's many, many brands out there that I really love. There's great hair brands, and I'm
brands, like one, give me one.
Like Crown. Crown is a great brand that makes these amazing conditioners and brushes. There's The Way by Jen Atkins.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, it smells so good. There's Olaplex.
Olaplex is good.
Saves my hair all the time. And I know there's more I'm missing, but so I'm a very simple beauty person, but I love trying new things. And Augustitis Bader, I don't know if you know that. That's it's a skincare, and it's a very expensive high-end cream that literally changed my skin.
So I was going to say more than beauty, because makeup you're the queen of it with your stuff. But in skincare, what would you say for skincare? Is this it? August Spider?
Yeah, August. Oh yeah, Augustine. I never say it right, and I recommend it all the time. But it's August Bader, Augustitis Bader. I always mess it up because my plumber's name is Augustitis, so it's Augustine Bader.
Augustine. Well, I'm going to Google it and I'll find it.
Yes.
I mean, thank you for that.
Yeah, it's expensive, but it's worth it.
It's worth it? Okay.
Yeah, it's worth it. You won't be buying all those other this cream and that cream. And I make moisturizers in Jones Road, a clean, very simple for dry skin, but I wear this underneath it.
How about serums?
I'm not a serum guy. I'm not a giant serum guy. Most of them are sticky.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why you need it. I mean,
okay. It's good to know. So I shouldn't be bothering with the serums.
Some people swear by them. It doesn't do it for me.
But you have good skin. So I think that can also be genetics probably.
It's genetics, and it's some laser. I mean, I don't get injectables, but I get laser from time to time.
Which one do you get?
I get the ones that you don't need recovery. I don't get those intense things. I did once have Ulthera, and it was so painful.
I heard that's really hard.
God, it's so painful.
I heard.
And it's really expensive. I got it for free. I wrote about it on Just Bobbi that I didn't know if I would do it again. It hurt so much.
Yeah. That's what people said.
Yeah. But it, I did notice a little bit of lifting.
So it worked, but it just hurt.
Yeah.
So which ones are the ones with no recovery? Is it?
I think there's one. It's called Pico. Yeah. There's one called Pico. There's Clear and Brilliant. Those are good. I mean,
I'm writing this. I'm taking notes at my own podcast. I mean, thank you. Well, listen, I took up a ton of your time, and I think this was, you're great. I mean, I learned a lot about beauty anyway. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Where can people find you, your products? Give us a little bit of plug where they can find what.
Sure. Yeah. Well, they could find me on justbobbi.com. Literally, it's just Bobbi, DOTCOM. When I launched the new brand, I took out Brown. So it's justbobbi.com. I have a podcast that is called Beyond the Beauty. And this season was all about interviewing female founders of beauty brands. And you could also find jonesroadbeauty.com, all about the makeup, and evolution18.com. And then, of course, there's the George Instagram. Yes. Yeah.
You have a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate you so much for taking the time.
Oh, same here. Nice to talk to you.
Habits and hustle, time to get it rolling. Stay up on the grind, don't stop, keep it going. Habits and hustle, from nothing into something. All out, hosted by Jennifer Cohen. Visionaries, tune in, you can get to know them. Be inspired, this is your moment. Excuses, we ain't having that. The Habits and Hustle podcast, powered by Habit Nest.